So this is the Kickstand Deadlift or Kickstand Hinge. I'm going to do this. The setup is pretty critical here, so pay attention to these details and make sure you're prioritizing these details when you get into this exercise yourself. I'm going to do this on my right side, and so to commit to that right side, I'm going to stand on the right leg, pick up the left to make sure I'm on my right leg. Like 97% of my body weight is on this right side. And this left side is really just a kickstand, and it's going to remain that way throughout the exercise. So at no point do I want to shift or transfer any weight onto this back leg. Then from here, I'm on that right leg. I'm going to make sure my pelvis is orienting towards the right. So notice if you had headlights in your hip bones and you stand on one leg, do your hip bones kind of turn away from that stance leg, or do they turn over the stance leg? So you want to feel that your pelvis is turning towards that stance leg. So depending on your hip mobility, you may find you need to consciously kind of stack your pelvis over top of that leg. And then the next piece is I'm going to bring my knee forward. And I'm going to bring the knee fairly far forward. This knee angle is going to be maintained throughout. So when you first learn this, you could place a chair against the front of your knee so that you can feel that the knee angle is being maintained, or that that forward position of your knee is being maintained. You just need to touch the chair and it can just act as a bit of feedback. And this is basically where I'm going to work from. So here's my top position. I'm then going to take my right hand to cup that back pocket. I want to feel that bottom of the pelvis, that otherwise often referred to as the sit bone. And then I'm going to take this hand into my hip crease, and I'm just going to use these two hands to feel and sense and encourage some motion. So knee stays where it's at. From here, I'm then just going to take that right hip, that right sit bone, and I'm going to take it back. And I'm going to take it back, and as I take it back, I'm also going to see if I can bring it up. I'm going to lift it up, 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 up. Now, when I say lift it up, I'm talking millimeters here. But in general, you want to feel that that trend of motion is a back and slightly upward. So feeling that sit bone kind of lifting a little bit as you come into this hinge. So now I'm probably almost as hinged as I'm going to be. I'm going to hold this position for a few breaths, and to deepen this challenge, I'm going to take my head and I'm going to stretch out the top center of the head a little bit farther away from the sit bone. I'm going to see if I can bring my knee a little bit farther forward without pulling that sit bone forward. It might seem impossible, but these are just tiny little motions that might be imperceptible, but can deepen you into this position. And I'm also going to think about just bringing this sit bone a little bit higher and a little bit farther back into that hand. We can hold for some breaths here, and when we're ready, we're going to pull that sit bone out of that right hand. So I'm not going to stand up. Instead, I'm going to think about pulling the sit bone out of the hand, back over the foot. I end up standing up, but it's initiated by pulling that sit bone out of that back pocket. Now, you certainly don't have to hold every repetition for a number of breaths, but it can be a great way to give some time under tension to start to open up the back of the hip and really challenge some of those back pocket muscles to sustain that position where they're quite lengthened and under quite a lot of load and tension. So it's a great way to